this is Maya West. I am speaking to you today as part of our Moxie Lab series on barriers or obstacles to our leadership path. And in past sessions, we've covered some of the other ones, and there's also a summary of all 6 on one of the previous videos. But today we're going to talk about barrier number 5, which is debt and financial limitations. This one is a killer in our country. For any of you who have had debt at one point or another in your life, you know how crippling it can be and how hard it can be to get through it if you've had the fortune of getting through it. One of the things that's really weird about our country, especially right now, is that we have maintained this like dual reality. On one hand, we are sending a message to our citizens that we should all have a really nice car and look really good and have a certain lifestyle. And on the other hand, our average incomes per year have never been lower. We have to work 25% harder, according to some statistic from the 1970s, to get that same amount of money, and we don't have as much security. And so we have these dual realities that we compete with, the one that's real and the one that we're told that we're supposed to have. And I always call that the smoke and mirrors. And I currently live in a place that has a lot of financial abundance, and there's some wonderful benefits of being in that community and being around that. But one of the drawbacks is that there's a lot of pressure to maintain a certain illusion of financial abundance, even if you don't have it. And so how do we maintain the financial abundance illusion? Is we have a nice car. That's the right out of the gates, right? We definitely have a pair of, really nice jeans and some good shoes. Maybe we signal like an iWatch or some other way of communicating that we have wealth. Whether or not we have it, maybe we've sold the farm to pay for that watch or those shoes or that jeans. We don't know. One of the hardest obstacles or barriers is that we become so financially leveraged with debt or payments or things that we feel like we need to buy that we no longer have the ability to choose the right job because it doesn't pay as well. One of the things I learned from law school was that there are a lot of people who went to law school that really wanted to do amazing work, and then they got all the student loan debt and other types of debt because it's really hard to work and be a law student. In some cases, you can't even work when you're in school, depending on the law school's restrictions. So you incur all this debt, and then you get out, and then your dream of being whatever you were going to be, a community organizer or just maybe just a do-gooder small town lawyer or whatever it is, suddenly you have to make X number of dollars because you've incurred this debt, and that equals X number of dollars a month times 12, and that's a big salary that you're looking for, and who's offering that salary. And that really changes your ability to make a decision in your own benefit because those things add up. And of course, someone will say, take out the loan, you can pay back it later. You don't need to get a job right now. You focus on your studies. There's all these messages that we get that support that. But Senator Elizabeth Warren wrote a really great memoir, and of course, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's basically her story, like one of those classic, I'm going to run for office books. But she does a great telling of how that kind of smoke and mirrors, that dual parallel reality impacts working Americans in a way that's really profound. And so one of the biggest obstacles and barriers is if we have too much debt or other financial restrictions, then we can't really make decisions that we want to make in our life. And that's a very hard one. And so how do we make room for that? I'm a lawyer, so I make really good money, but at one point I was a social worker and I didn't make very good money. And so you had to make decisions about, what, am I buying stuff at the thrift store or am I buying clothes? Where? What are the decisions? Do I need to go out to a meal every day? Do I need to get that Starbucks every morning? What are the things that we do every day that change our ability to have that future? And what's really cool from a neuroscience perspective is that if we imagine our vision for ourselves of what we're doing, and we figure out even how much we would need to be making or what house we want to live in 5 years from now, and we imagine our financial future and the way we want to see it, and we work backwards from there, that actually is a greater incentive to making those changes now than it is just to beat yourself up about it and say, I shouldn't have bought that Starbucks. Why did I get the Frappuccino and I should have got the Americano? It's 4 times more. Whatever it is that you're struggling with on those daily decisions around money, if you have a vision for where you're heading, then that helps make the decisions now. And financial planners that I work with are obsessed with this idea of how do we get people to save for retirement? I mean, we know we should, but that seems so far away. It's the same thing now with if there's some big professional or personal path that you're going to pursue or you need a little bit of room financially. If you have that vision for what it looks like, then it makes the obstacle now seem easier to deal with. So what does that mean? Becoming debt-free as soon as possible. And that means living within your means. And if you can't live within your means, that means getting another job, or that means figuring out how to sell a widget on Etsy or whatever it is that you're going to do to get yourself out of that situation. Because that is one of the best things you can do for your future self is to advocate for your financial security now. But then I'm gonna put my lawyer hat on for a second, and as I close on this session, just let you know that student loan debt and tax debt don't go away if you file bankruptcy. So there's the lawyer 2 cents for you today. You can take that information however you want, but those two stay. So if I were making decisions about where I would pay off debt, you might want to have that in mind as you're pursuing your own financial independence to get rid of that obstacle and path for your future self. This is Maya West, and today we've covered barrier number 5, which is debts and other financial restrictions. And if you want to know more about what we do here at Moxie Lab, check out our website. But thanks for your time, and it's a pleasure talking with you today.